Before borders were drawn, before maps gave names to the vast frozen lands of the North, what we now call Canada was already home. For millennia, indigenous peoples such as the Inuit, Cree, Haida, and Mi'kmaq lived on this land. They hunted, fished, farmed, and shared a peaceful relationship with the earth, the rivers, and the skies. With complex cultures, distinct languages, and their own systems of governance, these nations flourished long before the arrival of Europeans. It was in the late 15th century that the first European explorers caught sight of Canada's eastern shores. In 1497, Italian navigator Giovanni Caboto, known in English as John Cabot, sailed under the English crown and reached the cold waters of the North Atlantic. Years later, in 1534, the Frenchman Jacques Cartier sailed up the St. Lawrence River and claimed those lands for France. Thus began the seeds of what would become New France. Throughout the 17th century, French missionaries, fur traders, and settlers established themselves in regions like Quebec and Acadia. Early relationships with indigenous peoples were based on alliances and trade, especially with the Huron and Algonquin confederations. France saw Canada not as a land for mass settlement, but as a strategic outpost for the lucrative fur trade, especially the highly prized beaver pelts. Meanwhile, the British Empire was also expanding its colonial reach. The rivalry between France and Britain would shape Canada's destiny for over a century. A series of conflicts and wars culminated in the famous 7 Years' War, after which, in 1763, the Treaty of Paris granted Britain nearly all of France's territories in Canada. Over the 19th century, new provinces were added, and a slow process of unification unfolded. In 1867, the Dominion of Canada was born, with 4 founding provinces: Ontario, Quebec, Nova Scotia, and New Brunswick. Over time, other regions joined, forming a vast country stretching from the Atlantic to the Pacific and into the Arctic. Today, Canada is a multicultural, bilingual country known for its wild landscapes and diverse heritage. But it all began with rivers traveled by canoe, untouched forests, and the meeting, sometimes peaceful, sometimes violent, of vastly different worlds. But even in a land as vast and developed as Canada, there are places where roads don't reach. Communities still live isolated by distance, climate, and geography, particularly in the country's northern and indigenous regions. In these remote corners of Canada, the challenge is not only physical access, but also spiritual connection, medical support, and human presence. And it is here, far from the bustling cities and beyond the paved highways, that Adventist World Aviation takes flight. Founded with the vision of reaching the unreached, Adventist World Aviation serves in some of the most inaccessible areas on Earth. In Canada, its mission is both urgent and compassionate: to provide transportation for medical emergencies, deliver supplies to remote communities, and offer spiritual care where few others can go. Pilots and volunteers brave harsh winters, dense forests, and vast lakes, not for profit, but for people. In partnership with local communities, AWA operates aircraft that become lifelines, connecting the isolated with the essential. But more than fuel and wings, the mission is about presence. It's about showing that no one is forgotten, no one is too far, and that the love of Christ is not limited by geography. Here, in the heart of the Canadian wilderness, the legacy of exploration takes on new meaning, not for conquest or trade, but for service. Just as pioneers once pushed through rivers and snowfields in search of a future, AWA now presses forward, not to claim land, but to share hope.
Hi everyone, my name is Lloyd Douglas. I am a public health physician in Sioux Lookout, Ontario. I've been living in this area with my family, Lisa, Jemai, and Jedediah, for almost 12 years. When I came to this region, I came here as a Bible worker with my family, who is a family, very young family at the time, and my wife is a nurse, and the Lord has blessed us while we have been here, and we have been involved with ministry for His name and for His glory. So the town of Sioux Lookout is a small town of about 6,000 people. It's the hub of the north. It's found in northwestern Ontario, and this town would serve many remote First Nations communities. I think the geographic area is larger than the size of France. First Nations people are the first peoples of this land, but they have been negatively impacted by colonization. Today, we are seeing the impacts of that, the impact on the family, the impact on the community. But I've never met more resilient people, despite all the tragedies, all the setbacks. They're so loving, so fun, some of the happiest people that I've met. So now coming to this area and presenting Christ, we have to overcome those barriers, and we have to do that in a loving way. Another challenge is that the area is very vast, and we have remote communities, many of them flying communities. So the harvest is ripe, but the laborers are few. You know, we are 21 hours drive north of Toronto. We have many people, believers in Toronto, but very few would come to the north. Also, the weather. It's almost as if we have two seasons here, winter and summer. And winter is like 7-8 months. So for a lot of people, that's very hard. But I know that with God, we can overcome any challenge. A partnership between the Ontario Conference of Seventh-day Adventists and Adventist World Aviation is a no-brainer for me. These communities are fly-in remote communities. Therefore, you need a plane to fly to these communities. And I'm so happy that we have a plane, Wings for Humanity, doing this work. We know we have had a number of flights bringing in. I remember being on a plane and we're taking food in and other supplies in. And that's the way in which we can reach these communities. Unless you want to come here in the dead of winter and drive on a winter road and spend many hours, that's not really feasible or practical. So I would say we need to get behind the Ontario Conference and AWA and support this mission.
Responding to the missionary calling and serving God in another country is a decision marked by faith, surrender, and purpose. For many missionaries who settle in Ontario, Canada, the journey is filled with both rich opportunities and significant challenges. While the province is known for its cultural and religious diversity, missionary work in Ontario requires preparation, perseverance, and spiritual discernment. Unlike in cultures where the gospel may be more readily received, people in Ontario often place a high value on privacy and personal space. Forming deep and trusting relationships, which are essential for discipleship and building Christian communities, can take a long time. Missionaries must be willing to invest time, serve practically, listen empathetically, and patiently earn trust. Missionary life can be lonely, especially in a cultural context far from one's home country. Without strong emotional and spiritual support, missionaries can face discouragement or isolation. Maintaining a consistent devotional life, seeking mentors, and staying connected to sending churches or mission organizations is crucial for long-term health and effectiveness. Despite the challenges, Ontario presents significant opportunities. It's a multicultural province with immigrants from all over the world, many of whom are open to the gospel due to personal crises, life transitions, or displacement. Missionary work can flourish in many forms: Bible study groups, church planting, one-on-one discipleship, and social outreach. The missionary calling in Ontario demands perseverance, wisdom, and total dependence on God. Yet, it is also a unique opportunity to be a light in a society that urgently needs to encounter the love and truth of Christ.
Hello, my name is Julie Young. I'm the Global Manager and Canadian Administrator for the Northern Ontario Project. I want to talk to you about AWA today in my service. I have been involved with AWA since 2014. With the Northern Ontario Project, it was started approximately in 2017 with a desire to work with the Indigenous people of the North. Sioux Lookout, Ontario is the location where we have our Cessna 206 that serves the area. The program was actually started in approximately 2018, and we partnership with the Ontario Conference and Indigenous Ministries with Mansfield Edwards, who is also the Vice President of the Toronto Ontario Conference. His desire to meet the needs of the people in those communities, those people struggling with high suicide rates, lack of proper nutrition, lack of water. It's an emergency crisis up there for them. His desire has been to look after those people. Part of being the Administrative Secretary for AWA Canada is I'm involved with the data entry and fundraising. I've had great opportunities to go out and fundraise in my local area, meeting local businesses, dropping off our Current Airways magazine, meeting with business marketing teams. It doesn't take just one visit. It takes up to 5 visits to meet with someone and share what we do locally, what we do in Northern Ontario, and what we do globally with the other projects. One of the other things I look after is 2 to 3 planes that we have in a hangar in Oliver, British Columbia. We have a maintenance facility. We make the planes ready so that they can be deployed to other regions. Again, your funding is extremely important. I've been very fortunate to go into Northern Ontario, into Sioux Lookout, and fly into the Cessna 206, into the region. Not so much into the communities, because when we go in there, it is usually just a pilot who's had the plane loaded with food supplies and dry goods. a load of a pastoral outreach team from other non-for-profits that assist us, those that desire to go in and make sure that there's fire detectors in each person's home, water to each person, and good food and good outreach and health care. In the past, they've focused on diabetes, lifestyle, gardening, making sure that we share our love of health and our love of Jesus to those First Nations people who desire to ask for the help. We don't just go into a region and make ourselves known. We have to be invited by the elders, and we have to be told what the elders may need for their community. No one would want to send in canned goods that no one's going to eat. So we make sure that list is correct for their needs. Predominantly those dry goods that are going to get them through the winter. Perhaps dog food, baby necessities, and clothing. One of our main drivers, when the roads aren't accessible during the summer, he goes in with a truck and he delivers the goods on the ice roads. Our pilot, Danfold Borland, when he can fly during the summer months, he goes in load after load to take in pastoral outreach, all the food supplies that have been gathered over the winter. Again, it's isolated communities. We can't always fly into them, we can't always drive into them. So we do it when we can and how we can. I hope my short message about my love of Jesus, my love of serving, my dedication to AWA, it's not about me. He is in control. He is in control what we do for the next 30 years. So I want to say congratulations to AWA for being a wonderful humanitarian service for 30 years. God bless each one of our donors, and please keep us in your prayers as we continue to do the service that God has asked us to do.
Before we can reach remote communities with medical support, education, and the message of the gospel, we first have to cross long distances and difficult terrain. That's where AWA's mission aircraft come in. Each plane is a vital tool that helps us bring hope to places where roads don't go. Let's take a look at some of the aircraft that make these missions possible.
Before I was talking about the 172 in the other hangar, which needs extensive work. But we also have this little 150. It's approximately from the era 1960. It has been with AWA as a donated plane for many, many years. As you can see, there's no wings on this plane. So sadly, it's been parked here. It does need approximately $45,000 to $50,000 in putting it together. We need funding for that. AWA Canada does maintenance in 2 hangars in Canada, and we also do outreach in Canada, in Northern Ontario, in the community of Sioux Lookout, Ontario, on behalf of the Ontario Conference. Currently, I'm standing in front of the Cessna 172 that was donated to us from a gentleman in Lillooet, BC. There's a lot of repairs that need to be done to this plane. There's an engine that needs repairs. There's upgrades on the avionics, maybe a paint job to match the same colors of the yellow-blue of AWA. But for now, it's this nice, shiny Cessna color. We also have a plane in Sioux Lookout, Ontario. It's a Cessna 206 that is operating each year, flying supplies into the Indigenous communities of that region. It is hangared currently in Dryden, Ontario, just waiting to fly once again for this season.
Hello, I'm Dr. Mansfield Edwards, and I'm chair of Adventist World Aviation's board for Canada. And with joy, I am vice president for Ontario Conference and also have responsibilities for Indigenous ministries and evangelism. Adventist World Aviation has been a blessing to our field. We were able always to get into certain Indigenous communities like Thunder Bay and Dryden and Sioux Lookout, but we were never able to get to places like Big Trout Lake and so on. Big Trout Lake is a fly-in community. There are just no roads that lead there. Hence, AWA in partnership with the Ontario Conference, has really made this a powerful possibility. Ministry, because of AWA, has now spread beyond the land territory to go over the lakes and get into these other reserves that are fly-in communities. Thank you, Adventist World Aviation, for your amazing contribution to the work of the Adventist Church here in Ontario.
The partnership between Adventist World Aviation and the Ontario Conference is a powerful reminder that unity brings strength. With the support of the Ontario Conference, AWA is empowered to go even further, not only in reaching and supporting remote populations, but also in mobilizing every member of the church to be part of this missionary calling. Whether through volunteering or financial giving, your involvement carries eternal value in the mission of saving lives. Each one of us has a part to play in Christ's cause. You may not yet be certain of the gifts God has placed in your life, but the opportunity to discover them is right before you. All it takes is a step of faith and a willingness to cooperate with Christ. As you do, you will see your gifts come to life in ways you never imagined. Spiritual gifts grow through action, not just reflection. When you're willing, God will work through you in powerful ways. So don't be afraid, because the one who promised is faithful.
Hi everyone, my name is Fabricio Leite. I'm the Bible worker here in charge of the Silicon program, aviation program. It's Adventist World Aviation partnership with the Ontario Conference of the Seventh-day Adventists. And here we use aviation to serve the First Nation communities scattered all across northwestern Ontario, bringing them resources, medical care, and of course the gospel too.
So I've been praying for a long time that, the Ontario Conference and the Adventist World Aviation can come together so that we can come up with a plan to reach the First Nations. And I'm pleased to say that when you can find someone like my good friend here that I've just met and getting to know him, who is passionate about both, one person who's willing to fly, but one person who's also very passionate about the gospel. You can't get anything better than that for this region. A pilot who will be able to take the necessary supplies that communities may need using Christ's method alone, and also being able, whenever called upon, to share a word of encouragement with someone. I think that's a win-win-win.
As I like to say, the only thing that we're taking to heaven are people. And knowing that they are the most valuable things on earth, for me it's a pleasure to be able to serve and to use my resources, my time, my knowledge, my life to reach out to other people. So having the opportunity to be partnering with the Ontario Conference and with Adventist World Aviation, it is a blessing. It is a blessing because we know that Christ came to die for everybody. So everybody should be reached. And that's why we're here. And I thank you so much for partnering with Adventist World Aviation too, with your prayers, with your resources, with your willing to serve, because that's what we need too. People that have the same mindset of reaching other people, of caring for other people, and going wherever they are to share the gospel with them.
In addition to our involvement with the local church and our efforts to strengthen and grow the group here, we aim to increase the use and operation of our mission airplane to reach the more remote communities in the north, especially those that are accessible almost exclusively by air. Our goal is not only to provide support through physical resources such as clothing, food, and medicine when needed, but also to offer transportation for those in need within our reach, and to integrate these efforts with spiritual activities as well. We also plan to establish a hangar in our base city, Sioux Lookout, since our airplane is currently located at least an hour away. This distance requires additional logistical and financial planning to access the aircraft, whereas having it closer would be much more practical. In addition, and in partnership with the Ontario Conference, we plan to build a center of influence to serve and reach the population of Sioux Lookout through a variety of community-focused activities.
If you want to get involved in this mission, I would suggest contacting the Indigenous Ministries Department at the Ontario Conference. My good friend, Dr. Mansfield Edwards, he leads this great ministry. Of course, your prayers are needed. Your resources are needed. Financial resources are needed. But guess what? I'd love to see young people from all over North America come to this region. Come and do a VBS. Come on a mission trip. Come and get involved. Just even come just to see what the lay of the land is. Remember, the truth is we need boots on the ground. We need people here to reach the first peoples of this land. So, maybe prayer, it may be money, it may just be, you know what, I don't have money, but I have time. And you can come. Come on over. You are most definitely welcome to Sioux Lookout.
Charlie Echo joining crossing Mansfield, joining downwind right, forward 36. Go stop.
Philippines project.
AWA.
You move a patient.
A mission bringing physical and
People
spiritual
are crying for
able
help.
to help tell the stories.
Not easy work.
For 3 weekends straight.
It was wonderful to see the people.
Adventist World Aviation, because of them, we have a plane in the north. Because of them, we have the service and the upkeep of that plane. Because of them, we can reach people that were not accessible to us before.
These are the adventures of Adventist World Aviation. Its ongoing mission to go into all the world, the final frontier, to reach out and save the lives of the lost, suffering, or perishing, to seek out primitive civilizations, to help those in need, to reach the unreachable, to seek out new life in Christ, to boldly go where no missionary has gone before.